I'm at 838 Maid, Marion Court in Miamisburg, Ohio. Doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues or anything that would be concerning to the buyer. Our access is the PVC stack in the laundry room in the basement. You can see right here next to the hot water heater here. There is a stack, and there's the water line coming up also. So this is PVC. And so based off the age of the home, it's kind of a weird setup. It's kind of a weird era, I should say, just because in this era they started using PVC, as you can see, but they also used a lot of clay on the outside still, and so it could be PVC in the house and partially in the front yard, and then it could still switch over to clay, kind of depending on when the house was built or when the neighborhood was started. Also, it could be the sewer main and then the laterals that they brought onto the properties before the houses were built. Could be partially clay. But PVC is a good material. See, looking like the clean out that is out front. You see the little, it's kind of hard to see. I'm used to looking at it, but there's an opening on the top of the pipe there. And that is where the clean out is on the exterior. And just as I had talked about, as soon as we get past that clean out, we have some clay. It goes to clay, and it looks like there are some tree roots already. It may have been cleaned, but the tree roots aren't getting in majorly into the flow line yet at that point right there, but they are present, and so just something to be aware of. A little bit more there. And so maybe the closer we get to the tree, they may get worse. Now, tree roots are very, very common in clay lines. It's probably 80 to 90% of the clay lines that I do. If there's a tree in the front yard and the sewer line runs that direction, there's usually root intrusion. And here we go. This is a real heavy spot here at about 47 feet. So I'm able to poke through it, and in most cases, just like this, they're getting in at the connection, at a pipe connection. So if you kind of look, they get in, they kind of form a wall there, and then, but they get in at the joints. Years of use, or years of basically the packing that they use around these in different areas. It can shrink or crack, and just the packing where the hub goes together at these connections. And there's so many connections because the pipe lengths are only about 3 feet, and so what happens is that it breaks down just a little bit, and there's nothing a tree likes more than food and basically water and fertilizer in one place, and it's a constant feed, and so they love it. So it's very, very common to see it. Clay is a good material. It really, you can never, put a time limit on it. The stuff lasts for presumably ever, as long as it doesn't break or the tree roots don't break it. But in most cases, which now we went back into PVC, but now we got something. There we go. Had a little something on the front of the camera, and so it looks like we went back into PVC once we got out in the street. So it's a kind of a strange mixture why they didn't run PVC all the way out, unless this has been replaced at some point. So I guess it kind of depends on what the plumber likes. They put PVC inside the house, ran clay out to the property line, and then it looks like the neighborhood, they used PVC for the lateral, possibly the main. So it was a very strange era. Things were changing a lot, so it kind of usually depended upon the plumber as to what materials were used, what they trusted, because there were a lot of new materials. And so you were transitioning between cast iron and clay and PVC, and so you see a lot of mixtures, and even concrete in this era. So, but we've made it all the way to the main. The line's open, but we really only had a couple spots of some root intrusion, but that is something that you will have to deal with as far as overall will require future maintenance. We're going to run some water in this stationary tub down here, this utility sink. We'll leave this running until we can see it pop up down there at the line at the sewer main. Come from behind the camera. And then we'll pull back, we'll kind of watch the line function, and this will need to be cleaned. Especially the one spot, the real heavy spot that I had to poke through. It had a pretty heavy wall on it. That will need to be cleaned, because that's at the point where it could cause a backup pretty soon, just because of the how full that cross section is of roots. But usually what happens is you have it cleaned. You could use a chemical like Root X on like a yearly basis to try to make sure, as preventative maintenance, to try to make sure that it doesn't cause any future issues. Kind of keeps the roots from growing heavily. And then I usually recommend a follow-up inspection in about 5 years or so. So you can kind of check the condition of the line, and then it'll help adjust your maintenance schedule. Some people just let it go until it backs up before they do it, but I think it's better for everyone involved if you have a planned maintenance schedule ahead of time, and then go into it, and then take a look in a few years and kind of give you an idea of how fast the roots are growing and how often you actually need to do maintenance, if at all. So you can see the water showed up, so we're going to start pulling back and taking a look at how the line's functioning. Basically, we're out 100 feet, and a majority of this line is PVC and in great shape. You just have that middle section there. You see, if you see kind of these white marks on there, I don't know if this has been cleaned. Maybe it just skipped past that root, those roots, and went right past it, and the guy that was cleaning it didn't realize it, didn't feel it. This, obviously, the PVC is in great shape. All the joints look nice and tight. It's got great pitch on it. All the water's escaping as designed. And then we get back into the clay. 58 feet. So from, so the last 40 feet, 58 feet out to 100. Is all PVC. So it's kind of, again, very strange combination of materials based off the timing, but and the clay looks like it's in great structural condition. It doesn't have any breaks or holes or anything in it. It just said the packing tends to shrink in these areas, and so I think this was the worst part here. 47 feet, you can see that door. It just kind of is open like a door here, and so that root ball, 48 feet. heavy enough where this is going to require a cleaning. You can see. You see how the water's kind of starting to build up a little bit around it, but it is a definite cross section of the entire pipe there. And I really think that was the only spot of any real concern. The other spots of roots were very, very minor and would not require, excuse me, any. And this one's probably this would help with a cleaning also. But the water's getting past it. These are all, you can see a little bit of roots getting in, but nothing major. Like, you know, it may need with a chemical that would hopefully keep those roots back a little bit. They're just very, very, very beginnings of getting in. And so I would recommend, obviously I'm going to recommend a cleaning. But there's really only 2 spots that are going to be concerned. So I think if you have this cleaned initially before taking occupancy, and you could go in from, they could go in from the outside clean out because it's all on the exterior. All the issues are on the exterior, and that basically from, there's about 30 feet of clay. And so in that 30 feet, just past that outside clean out is where all the roots are. So they could go in from that outside clean out too, which would be a nice access point for somebody that's doing the cleaning. But the PVC in the house is also in very good condition. So if we pull back out of the clean out, everything looked really good structurally. I didn't see any major repairs that are needed. The line itself seems like it's intact, fully intact. It just have some root intrusion. Like I said, it's very, very common. And so I'm going to recommend that the line be cleaned thoroughly to remove the roots, and possibly, you know, they usually will camera it again after they clean it to make sure that they've got all the roots out, and just take a look at the area where the heaviest roots are. And then I normally recommend, like I said, a yearly chemical treatment or somewhere close to that with some form of root killer for about 5 years, and then have it re-inspected and then check to see if you have anything to worry about as far as root intrusion, and if you need to adjust the maintenance schedule, or if you really need it. As long as that tree is out front, you will continue to get root intrusion in the line, and even if you remove it, it'll a lot of times they can still grow for a few years after the tree's gone. But all in all, this is pretty normal maintenance for a sewer line of this age and material. Just there are permanent solutions where you can have it lined, or take the tree down, wait a few years, or replace the pipe, but it's not really necessary. People have been doing maintenance on these clay lines for decades. And so it's just a regular maintenance kind of thing that needs to be taken care of. Overall, the line is in good structural condition. So that's going to end the inspection at 838 Maid Marion Court in Miamisburg, Ohio.